Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Justin. Thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Chris Mueller in a matter of moments over at the 93.7 The Fan Cam. And one thing I want to break down today is Steelers training camp, specifically the interview with Najee Harris. I was there. There's no question, Chris, Najee Harris tried to avoid us early on. I don't know you saw that video that I posted, that he avoided the steps where we're standing and jumped off the wall. Could have hurt himself and went in the dorm room that way. But he eventually, and then I asked him to do an interview. He walked by us and he said no, he got meetings. Then all of a sudden, about 20 minutes later, he comes out and decides to do an interview with us and answered pretty much our questions and actually said more than I thought he would. I was really surprised that the Steelers told him that they don't know what direction the offense is heading.
Najee Harris is a pretty, I think, sensitive, proud, emotional person, so I'm not surprised he tried to dodge an interview. I would wonder if when he went inside, somebody with the Steelers potentially suggested that it would be in his best interest to say something to the media, to address the media in some way. And then I think once he actually gets talking, I think one of the things about Najee Harris is the paradox. He doesn't ever want to talk, but once he finally gets talking, he usually will say some things. I think his pride was a little bit hurt that they didn't pick up that option. I think he wants to be one of those guys who's a standard bearer for running backs around the league in terms of, we deserve to get paid. I'm sympathetic to the plight of the running back position in general, but he's kind of a bad messenger because he just has not been that dynamic and productive. And his comment about the Steelers and the direction of the offense and them telling him they don't know where it's going, that's just kind of his writing on the wall that they think Jaylen Warren is the more explosive, dynamic of the two players, which he is, and that they don't think it's worth committing $6.7 million 2 years from now to Najee Harris, which is also a decision I ultimately defend by them.
You know, it says to me that they don't think he is the guy. I mean, Arthur Smith had Derrick Henry. He needs a running back. That's what his offense is basically predicated on. And you think Najee Harris is the guy, and you would think that, hey, we can keep him around for $6 million for one more year, and they elect not to. So maybe he doesn't fit Arthur Smith's offense, or Arthur Smith doesn't think he's that good.
I think it's the latter part. I mean, I think that they're going to get a deal done with Pat Freiermuth sooner rather than later. We know that in the Arthur Smith offense, the two positions that have been most crucial have generally been tight end and running back. And it says a lot to me that, let me put it this way, Richie. If Arthur Smith coming in thought Najee Harris was a big-time bell cow running back, if he thought he had Derrick Henry qualities, I would imagine Arthur Smith would have been quietly pounding the table saying, we've got to get this guy on the fifth-year option. $6.7 million is going to look like a bargain. Just wait till you see him in my offense, and so on and so forth, and would have just told them it's good business to keep Najee Harris on that fifth-year option. The fact that he did not speaks volumes because Arthur Smith knows what good running backs look like. He had one of the all-time greats in Tennessee.
So where do you think they go from here? I mean, Najee Harris said he's motivated. What kind of season do you think he's going to have? I mean, is he motivated? I know he's motivated for his next contract because he said, this is, God's going to drive him to somewhere. He said, whatever that quote was. I don't know. I mean, I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Jerry or someone. Maybe it was Ray Fittipaldo who asked about him coming back. Would he consider coming back here? And he said he loved Pittsburgh, but then he went on a tangent of saying that, he'll go over wherever his life takes him kind of thing. It's a business decision.
I mean, I think he's not going to have huge numbers to answer your question because I think they're going to continue to split time between he and Jaylen Warren, and you might find that Jaylen Warren gets maybe the bulk and the majority of those touches, Richie. So I don't expect like a monster season necessarily out of him. And I think you say, where do the Steelers go post Najee Harris? I think this is his last year in black and gold unless he does something none of us see coming and has like an 1,800-yard season, is the feature guy and looks awesome while doing it, which I just don't think is in him. I don't think he is that kind of player. He's not Derrick Henry. And then I think this is what the Steelers are going to show you. They're going to sign Jaylen Warren to some sort of modest deal, but a deal for an undrafted free agent that'll seem like a whole lot of money because it is. And then they're going to backfill that position with like a 3rd or 4th round pick, which is exactly what they should do. That's resource allocation anymore in the NFL. Najee Harris is not worth the money you can find in Najee Harris in the 3rd or 4th round in most years' drafts, and I think they're going to prove that starting next year.
Hey, real quick before we go to break, can Jaylen Warren be your everyday back? Every down back?
I think so. I mean, there's some, discussion among Steelers fans if he's one of those guys where the more you show him to a defense, the less effective he gets. I still think that guy could touch the ball 22, 23 times a game and make good use of it. And I also think we don't have any idea. He was explosive in a bad offense that had no passing threat for the majority of the year. We have no idea how he will look in what is presumably going to be a better, more professionally run offense with better quarterback play. So I'm certainly not writing that off. I think it's still going to be a job share, but I absolutely think he could take the more featured role.
All right, we got to take a break. Back with your phone calls. 412-575-2600 is the number. See you in a couple minutes. Welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC Tweet of the Night, and this is from OptaStats. Today, the Pirates became only team in the modern era since 1901 to have 5+ run shutout despite allowing 9+ walks and being out hit. A big win for the Pirates today. I did not expect that from Martin Perez. I was worried about this game just because yesterday I thought for sure yesterday was a lock to win that for the Pirates just because of Paul Skeens. Today, I didn't think it was going to – I thought Martin Perez was going to be the Martin Perez from last game. By the way, I love that shirt, Chris.
I appreciate that, Richie. Thank you. I'm more surprised that it took us until the second segment of tonight's show for you to fully embrace, be consumed by your bucko fever, Richie.
Well, I was at training camp all day, and I drinking the Kool-Aid up there in Latrobe.
No, I understand that. You were working hard out there, and you wanted to show us the fruits of your labor, and that's fine. I think the Pirates winning today, though, I will say this. As much as it was a disappointment, it was kind of a weirdly thrilling loss last night, just seeing a pitcher like Skeens get to go into the 9th inning in a tie game. Like, I thought that was so unusual. That place was charged up. They're chanting MVP. This is the kind of game today the Pirates, specifically to the Cardinals, have lost in the past when both teams have been good, which is pretty much every year for St. Louis. This would be the game the Pirates would lose. They'd have blown the opportunity last night that everyone took as sort of a slam dunk. I was with you. I thought it would be a pretty surefire win. And then they'd go and get routed today. They'd get humiliated. They'd fall down early and go lifeless with the bats. What a nice change of pace for Perez to throw 6 shutout, for them to make the offense that they got stand up the entire game. And yes, to put a bunch of people on base but have nothing come of it. Like, the shoe was finally on the other foot, and I think you have to be highly encouraged by what you saw from them these first 6 games out of the break. And now guess what? You're going to see Mitch Keller again. You're going to see Ortiz again in this upcoming series. It's the benefit of having very good starting pitching. You generally feel good, better than average, more than on most games, better than average about your team's chances to win. So I think they have a chance to make even more noise here. And before the trade deadline, Richie, get their general manager and owner's attention. Make them do something.
I hope so. I really hope that they do make a move because they still need a bat. Even though I love what Rowdy Tellez has been doing. Let's go out to Ryan in Elwood City. How you doing, Ryan?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Bucko fever.
I got it. I got pennant fever now, baby. It went from bucko fever to pennant fever, but go ahead.
Absolutely, Rich. 110%. Here's my trade deadline prediction, and here's a trade I would do. I agree with you, Rich. I said you've been saying Maurice Robert Jr., but realistically, I believe we won't get him. Realistically, guys, I believe we're going to get Chisholm Jr. from Miami. Here's the deal. Hunter Barco, Peguero or Mitch Jubb, Henry Davis, and maybe a Shailen Polanco for Chisholm Jr., for Chisholm Jr., and maybe Josh Bell. And then how about Andrew Vaughn? He'll be cheap. You can platoon him and Rowdy Tellez, move Connor Joe to right. And what is my boy Henry Davis's future here?
Well, the last question is a good question. I don't know, but if some team wanted him right now and was willing to give the Pirates a bat and he was part of the deal, I would send him. Chris, what do you think is going to happen? I've seen the Chisholm, Bell stuff on Twitter all day today. I think you and Pony both tweeted it out. Do you think that they're going to make a move at all? I just think it's going to be one of those middle-of-the-road type moves that just don't impress anyone.
I want to say they're going to do the thing that might be a hard, pill to swallow, which is acknowledge that Andrew McCutchen, while he's had an okay offensive season, is not enough in the DH role, and go out and get Brent Rooker from the A's, who's literally one of the 10 best offensive players in baseball. He's limited. We kind of hear rumblings that he can't really play the field at all. But even as a pure DH, he would be a massive shot in the arm for their lineup. And yeah, okay, McCutchen gets bumped from his role and would have to play the outfield at times, and he's not a spring chicken out there anymore, and he's not very good in right field because he's just getting old. I would do that, but I think you're going to see moves on the margins. I think you might see them try to acquire 1 or 2 bats. I think it's a non-zero chance here, practically a good chance, that they sell off at least one asset, maybe the guy we just watched pitch today. So I think it's going to be a deadline that's going to leave people feeling kind of unsatisfied and unhappy, because not only do I not think they're going to go after a huge name bat, I think they very well might trade one of their players in like a major leaguer for major leaguer deal that would be seen as weakening them a little bit in one area to try to strengthen another, and I don't think that's what people want.
I guess the good thing is Perez did pitch well heading into that trade deadline. Let's go out to Enzo in Mount Lebanon. How you doing, Enzo?
I'm doing great. I just wanted to add on to the rumors of Chisholm. This is the type of we need this chance. The Pirates are rarely, there's so much hype around them, and it's just very rare. We need to take advantage. We need to sign a bat. We need to commit to it. This is the type of year that we'll look back on when, like what could have been. We need to change something. I want the Pirates to be an actual baseball team.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they do something to keep people excited. We saw PNC Park yesterday, and, today, decent crowd, I guess, but what it's been the last, 6 home games?
They've had a lot of, I would say, momentum built with their fans coming out of the All-Star break, going 4-2, having some electric crowds actually see wins. I would agree with this much. I don't know if Enzo means this, but if he does, then we're on the same page. You have to, at the bare minimum, consider that as much as they seem to think organizationally that next year and the year after are going to be like their 2 big years where they could be a truly forceful baseball team that wins the division, that maybe wins 95-plus games, something like that. You never know what's going to happen. This might be your best crack at it right now, your best bite at the apple. They absolutely should add aggressively like they're trying to win with this year's team and not think about anything that's going to happen next year or the year after that. I wish people in that front office, I hope they understand it, Richie, behind closed doors, and that they are just trying to be canny and not tip their hand too much in terms of what other GMs are hearing them say, like Ben Sherrington specifically. They need to treat this like it is an urgent matter to win now, because they actually seem to have the team that is built to win now with its starting rotation.
Hopefully Charrington and Nutting are watching this show. It's the first day of Steelers training camp, and the only calls we're getting are Bucco calls. So obviously a lot of people are interested and excited about this team right now. O'Neill out in South Hills. How you doing, O'Neill?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
I mean, flat out honesty, I was planning on prank calling you guys and video recording it and putting it on Facebook. But
that's awesome. Sometimes I like prank calls.
I can't
if they're a good one.
Anymore.
Yeah, if they're a good one. But go ahead. Oh, I thought he had a good call. But all right, let's go out to Chuck.
How about that? Have you ever had somebody admit that they were just going to do a crank call and then just say they didn't have the heart to do it? I guess he was afflicted by a severe case of Bucco fever.
Maybe
Richie.
he started to really like us and he actually felt bad. That
maybe he was just
too.
hypnotized by my maybe he was just hypnotized by my shirt and thought it was like a magic eye and kept staring at the screen trying to figure out what the hidden pattern was, and then he just got kind of sidetracked.
All right, well, I appreciate the call, O'Neill. Let's go out to Chuck in Uniontown. How you doing, Chuck?
Thanks. Good evening, fellas.
Hey.
Yeah, big win today because a loss would have been devastating and deflating. But the road trip, do you think 4-2 or 3-3 is acceptable? Thanks. Bye-bye.
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, 3-3.
I'd love 4-2.
I do.
I'd love 4-2. You're going to have, in that 6-game span, you're going to have Keller, you're going to have Ortiz, you're going to have Skeens throw. I can't believe I'm saying this about Ortiz right now. He feels like a guy you can almost count on to go deep into a ball game and keep the other offense down. That's how good he's looked, how confident he's pitching. I feel like 3 wins is a minimum, and with their pitching, they should be able to try to get 4 out of this. I really do. I think 3-3 when you're away from home, you never really get mad about that, but these are teams you are directly trying to hunt down right now in this chase. You're competing directly with them. I think 4-2 is the most acceptable here. I think 3-3 would be a little bit hollow, especially with the momentum, like I said, that they seem to have built coming out of the break.
I don't even know what series is more important. I think it's imperative. I was going to say I think it's imperative to take 2 out of 3 against Arizona, but I mean, you're still fighting with these other teams too.
They're all important now. Anytime you see an NL team that is in that very same clustered group as they are, it's important. It just really is. So the Cardinals, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, any of these teams, even the Brewers, if the Brewers stumble a little and the Pirates keep it going, I'm not a person that believes that they're going to make up whatever it is, 7 games right now in the last 62 games or whatever it is, 61 games of the season. But all it takes is for the Pirates to rip off 4 or 5 in a row and the Brewers to lose 3 in a row, 4 in a row. Then you start to wonder about it. Then you start to think about it. But first you got to leapfrog St. Louis, and that means playing continual quality baseball for the next week or so, and then hoping that the Cardinals falter a little bit.
Well, it'd be nice if they could put together another 8-2 stretch like they've already done. All right, we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls, some of your tweets coming up next. Stay right there. All right, now it's time to bring in Josh Taylor to find out what's coming up on KDKA News at 11. Josh?
Rich, tonight the FBI director testifies on Capitol Hill about the shooter's activities on the day of the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Plus, what we're now learning about local law enforcement officers that may not have been true about that day in Butler. All that and more coming up in a few moments.
All right, see you in a couple minutes, Josh. Hey, Chris, I got a tweet here. Sean Kramer tweeted, it's time for the Pirates to make a move. If they can't get Chisholm or Rooker, they should go after Yandy Diaz. By the way, I like Chisholm Jr. He's a guy that you'd have control of through 26.
He would be a definite upgrade, and if they're trying to look for one bat that not fixes everything, but papers over the most holes, they've got a gaping hole in center field with Swinski's bat, and he's not a good defensive player either, so wonderful. Chisholm would be the guy that fixes the most things in one player, but I don't think he's going to be enormously expensive, but I do think the Marlins would want something reasonably significant in return for him, so they'd have to be willing to pony up. But that would be a good move if they made it.
Yeah, no question about it. Thanks a lot, Chris. We'll see you back here. Same time, same place tomorrow. And hopefully we see you guys over on KDKA News in just a couple minutes.